G'day fellas, welcome to a casted game between Fitzbro, who spawns in the east of the map, playing the French, and his opponent, spawning in the west of the map. It is TheViper, Age of Empires 2 pro gamer, probably one of the best gamers of all time, the greatest of all time, the GOAT. He is going up against Fitzbro here, an Age of Empires 3 streamer, pro, whatever you want to call it. This is the battle of the games. Age of Empires 2 versus Age of Empires 3 in the brand new Age of Empires 4. I tell you guys what, I'm incredibly excited for this game because this is one that we've been expecting for a while. This is Age of Empires 2 versus Age of Empires 3, the new guard versus the old guard in the brand new game. And I tell you what, it's going to be shaping up to be an absolute ripper of a game. I've heard great things about this one. At least that's what my sources tell me. But my sources are never always on the money. So let's go in and have a look and see exactly what the players are up to. Viper going to be playing the Rus for us, going to be opening up with it looks like a little bit of an early wood line, which is to be expected here. Drop down a house as well as a mining camp in the early game, and going to be getting that lumber camp up very soon. I do expect that we're probably going to be seeing out of him some early potential, I think they're called hunting cabins. Let's just double check the name on those things. They are indeed the hunting cabin. So I expect that we're probably going to be seeing one of those out of him shortly. Let's go check over on Fitzbro and see what he is up to. Fitzbro, on the other hand, just doing the standard French opening that you would expect. No wood gathering in the early game. We can see he's actually got a house out here over on his gold mine. He's got 3 villages on gold, so he's definitely keen to get up to that next stage. Normally, you'd only see players go for about 2 on gold, so Fitz is definitely in a rush to get up there. Bringing in a couple of sheep. We'll take a look and see exactly how much of the map he has scouted out. Now, this map that we are playing on, I don't actually know the name of it, but very interesting to note that there is a middle divider here. So it is a river that runs the length of the map. You can just see how far it goes, and we've got some absolutely gorgeous bridges. Look at the wonderful stonework, the pavement that carries you across the bridge. Now, these bridges are not destructible. You can't actually select them. You can't destroy them. In addition to bridges, there are natural bridges that have been made, and of course, more bridges down towards the south of the map. Now, if we take a look at this map, interestingly, Fitzbro on both sides of his map has got the trading posts. So one of the things to note is that sometimes the maps do not spawn fairly. So Fitzbro could be very cheeky, come in and wall off all of his spots across the river, and then have access to both trading posts, leaving the Viper with no option for gold in the late game. But speaking of gold in the late game, we see that Viper's got access to one large gold vein. He's got a small gold vein here, a small gold vein here, as well as a small gold vein in his base. So a total of 20,000. For Fitzbro, on the other hand, he is going to be doing the same thing. So 1, and then 2, and then 3 small ones, and then, of course, up to the north here. Actually, I take that back. A 4th one right here, and then a 8,000 gold right here. Now, both of these gold veins, the larger ones, are towards the middle of the map. So I'd be curious to see if a fighting is going to be involving these gold mines. I do suspect it would. One of the things that we are starting to see is that players are fighting more and more over these resource points in the late game. These are so important to secure, so you will see things like castles, keeps getting dropped down on these resources right here, just to be able to defend this, to hold onto it. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Fitzbro coming and doing the same thing over on this side, or by the same token, seeing Viper do it over on this side. But let's check in with Fitzbro, see how he's doing. School of Cavalry going to be going down. No real surprise there. You know what I would have loved to have seen out of Fitzbro? Just a very cheeky, what's the other landmark that the French can make? Just pop that one down here and start trading down into this corner. That would be fun. It'd be absolutely crazy, though. I don't know whether it'd be possible. This map does actually seem quite big. I don't know about you guys, but I just feel like there's a lot of distance going on between these two, the trading post and the market. So it would definitely be one of those options. Fitzbro using 3 villages now. Doesn't look like he's going to be going for any potential second town center, at least not at the moment. He has expanded out to the mill. Let's check in on the Viper, actually getting a survival techniques. We'll check in on the Viper. We'll see what he's up to. The Viper now going up to the second age as well. Going to be going up to the feudal age with the Kremlin. Now, this is a wonder, or a landmark rather, that we've seen a lot out of players. And one of the things to note is that it is going to be buffing up this lumber camp. You can see that little influence mark above the lumber camp. So the influence bonus is 20%. So they basically bring those resources out of thin air. They chop 10 resources. You'll see right here, it chops 10. but they'll actually drop off 12 once this landmark is complete. It also acts as a watchtower, so the Rus get access to a unique Rus watchtower called the Wooden Fortress, and that's what this also acts as well. It's got all the upgrades in there already, except for the Springald, but that's a little bit different. And Viper doing a little bit of scouting out. We'll remove his line of sight just so we can see exactly what he's got. He's spotted out the landmark from Fitzbro. He knows where his town center is. He knows what he's up to. He knows that he's open with a school of cavalry, and that's all that he really needs to know. So he's going to be, by the same token, opening up probably with a stable. We're going to be seeing Viper drop down quickly or soon. Now, people would probably be wondering, why is it that players are opting towards these two civilizations? What's so strong about these two civs? Well, think about it. What do these two civs have in common? They've got access to the Lancer or the Knight in the Second Age. That's what makes these civs so damn strong. And that's part of the reason why we have seen so many Rus players, so many French players, because really it is incredibly difficult to stop these units in the early game. A couple of idols there for Viper. Viper, pick it up, my friend, pick it up. What's going on? And a Knight already coming in right now onto Viper's gold mine. And Fitzbro turning around, and gonna be Viper actually turning around. Does he potentially lose a villager here? One villager going down, almost going down. 5 HP remaining on that villager. Keep in mind, already got that textile improvement here for Viper. He has literally aged up and researched that immediately upon reaching the Second Age. Take a look at Fitzbro's villagers, still sitting down here on 50 health. Viper is definitely on the game when he knows what is coming. He knew that there was going to be an opening landmark, a school of cavalry coming out from Fitzbro, and he was just very awake. As a consequence, it means that one of his villagers, which should have died, stays alive and very smartly keeps it in his base so that it isn't at risk of dying. But now, Viper going to be in a bit of a difficult spot. Second villager going to be threatened down here potentially, but everyone makes it inside. Fitzbro almost getting a hit on that villager. You saw they were in the motions for hitting it, but Fitzbro losing a Knight, very, very dangerous, or not very dangerous, but a very costly loss right there for Fitzbro. Keep in mind that the unique technology that Fitzbro will have access to as the French is this technology down here, Chivalry. Royal Knights regenerate 1 health every second when out of combat. So if you can keep that Knight alive, even on 1 HP, send him back to your base. He will slowly, over time, increase up to full HP. So really important. Viper now in a bit of trouble up here to the north because he's got another villager that may potentially be going down, heading back into the town center. There's going to be no cheeky pull tricks right here, but Viper actually looking pretty decent. I think he's going to be okay. Manages to get that one inside the town center. There was another villager that's hiding right there, but Viper does manage to get it inside. Also getting pressure down here to the south, but Fitzbro having a bit of a difficult time because the early Knights are up against the Royal Knights. Fitzbro now going to be scouting out another villager out here on the mining camp, but it manages to get back in time, dropping down a house. Fitzbro having a bit of a tough time, but at the same time now, look who's on the aggression. It's Fitzbro. Viper's going to be looking to see whether he can get a 1-for-1 trade here. Fitzbro actually realizing that he's going to head out away from him, but Fitzbro doing a great job of really just forcing Viper into a difficult spot here. We see the true power of the French, the fact that they have this early aggression and they cannot be stopped when it comes to the early game. You really have to fight cavalry against them, or pikes or spears or anything to just prevent them from doing it. And now we see Fitz on the back line now beginning to siege down this mining camp, being very annoying against Viper. Viper realizes just how difficult this front stone or gold mine is. I would love to see him drop down a potential wooden fortress here to defend this, but at the same time appreciate that's a pretty darn big investment. Viper going to be losing another villager here. No. Fitzbro walks away, manages to keep his Royal Knight alive. We see a couple of arrows getting fired across, and Viper definitely going to be thinking about dropping down some farms. A market already getting placed down for Viper this early in the game. Probably going to be looking to trade in some of that excess food he's got. Fitzbro doing a 1-for-1 trade there against Viper. He's got a couple of villagers out here, potentially going to be knocked back. And I tell you what, this game is definitely shaping up to be quite a good game. I tell you what, I was not expecting Fitzbro to be putting on this much pressure in the early game against Viper. He's also up more than 100 points now against Viper. So incredible stuff from Fitzbro. Really, really love to see it from him. He has come a long way since his days as a creator from Age of Empires 3. Back in the very beginning, he was, barely even inside the top 200, and now he's playing up against Viper in Age of Empires 4, and I love to see it. He's really taking Viper to school in this game. Let me know down in the comments whether you're expecting Fitzbro to be doing this well. For anybody unfamiliar with Fitzbro, I'll make sure that I leave a link in the description to this video to his YouTube channel. Of course, I'll be leaving a link in the description to Viper's channel as well. Undoubtedly, you're going to know who Viper is if you're watching this. But now Fitzbro on the backside. Got to be careful here. Going to be losing a Lancer and a Royal Knight going down. And Viper doing a great job of just bringing back that one targeted villager, making sure it isn't going to be the one that takes all that damage. And great to see from him. Plenty of villagers now on gold for Viper. And Fitzbro having a great time because he is now healing up. We can see that melee cavalry that we talked about going to be able to gain that health back. So we'll take a look here. This one should be gaining health back as well. Is it just the one? I don't know. Oh, there we go. Now they're gaining it. It takes a while for them to be out of combat, quote unquote. But now they're able to gain that health back up and fully regenerate now. Fitzbro definitely having a bit of a fun time. I'll say that much. We'll take a look over at Fitzbro's base and see what he's up to. Fitzbro dropping down a blacksmith now, so probably going to be looking for that +1/+1 upgrade. Maybe get some melee armor onto his cavalry units. Definitely going to be a wise decision. Continuing to boom here. Let's take a look at the village count. 36 villagers versus the Viper, who's on 35. Not too bad. Not too bad for Viper and Fitzbro. Very, very even at this stage. I do love to see it. Now Viper dropping down a barracks. This is going to be to train up some spears. You already see a couple of spears sitting out here waiting, but they've got to be careful. They are severely outnumbered, and these cavalry are going to have no problem. Let's see if Fitzbro does manage to pull away this single cavalry unit. He's not even bothering to pull it back. He just knows that they're not going to be taking too much damage. You see how little damage those pikes, or those spears rather, are actually doing. And Viper now having a bit of difficulty. First villager going to be going down for him over on this gold mine, and slowly but steadily Fitzbro begins to etch a little bit of a lead, and Age of Empires 3 fans undoubtedly are roaring in their stadium seats. Undoubtedly they are having a great time. Let's see if Fitzbro actually goes for a bit of a siege on this mining camp. I definitely would be. We'll take a look and see how he reacts, how he plays it out. But now Fitzbro doing a cheeky little bit of a raid as well up here to the north, and it's looking terrible for Viper at this point. And by the same token, Fitzbro having a bit of a problem because a raid is now hitting into his base. One of the early knights for Viper may potentially go down here. We do see one Royal Knight actually chasing them away. We'll take a look at the movement speed difference between these two. 1.62 versus 1.62. It's going to be quite the chase. Put on the, what is it? The Benny Hill music. Oh, look at that pull trick. Look at the pull trick. Did you guys see the little pull trick that he did? That was Viper right there, pulling in an Age of Empires 3 pull trick right there. Fitz now going to be sieging down that mining camp, and Viper managing to get out all of his early knights without taking any losses at all there. So great to see from him. We'll take a look over at Fitzbro's perspective. I want to see the line of sight, exactly what he's working with right here. You've got a couple knights up here, couple down over on this side, more knights coming out across the map. Fitzbro really just keeping track of all of his knights, making sure that they're all doing well. And now the wolf is even getting in on it. Bitey infantry, that is indeed correct. Look at the wolf getting in on there. 3 damage coming out right now for that wolf. He's having a bit of fun. Fitzbro at the same time getting a bit of a raid down here on the back line. Spearmen chasing that raid away though. And now that wolf has turned on Fitzbro, but Fitzbro has finally turned on the wolf. Jeez Louise, this is shaping up to be a great game. Fitzbro really getting in there. You've got to be careful, Fitz. One knight going down. Viper's going to be having a great time here. He's going to be able to clean this up quite easily, I suspect. A lot of knights going to be going down here for Fitz. A second knight going to be going down. Third knight now going down. Fourth knight about to get dropped down. Fitzbro finally wakes up, and the fifth knight manages to get away. It's going to be able to heal itself up, but at what cost? And the cost is 4 early Royal Knights. And I tell you what, that's a pretty darn big cost. That is an awful lot to lose that early in the game. Fitzbro now going to be potentially countered here again by Viper. Viper catching another raid, beginning to move villagers through. We'll take a look and see whether we can get any more to connect, and he actually manages to snipe down that single last Royal Knight there. I don't actually know what it was. I don't think he's got any archers out. It must have come through from the wooden fortress. Another fight down here to the south. Fitzbro losing units everywhere. He's got to be very careful right now. His APM, this is where it's going to be difficult for him, because the APM difference is really going to start to show. Viper, this is where he lives. Viper lives in the 400 APM region. He wakes up in the morning and he's moving his fingers that fast. You got to watch out for him, Fitz. It's not how it works. Now Fitz is getting attacked by more bitey infantry on the back line, and Fitz is not having a good time. Right now we can see that Viper beginning to pull ahead in score, just ever so slightly, up about 25 points, 1563 to 1539 right now. So still very close, but you can just see how strong French are. The fact that they can lose that many units and still be in the game so close to their Rus opponents. We'll take a look over at, I'm curious. Oh no, Fitz. Oh no, Fitz. Don't go losing a villager here. That's tilt season. Okay, Fitz wakes up, manages to take down the wolf, and he's got his knights rallied out here across the map, but he's in a bit of a difficult spot because he's got more units out across the map, and he's getting pushed in upon. Now we enter into what looks like the biggest battle of the game ever. We take away into the cinematic mode and take a look at Fitzbro managing to wipe out all of those pikes. And look at that beautiful cavalry right there. And now on the back line, Fitzbro going to be losing a couple of villagers. We'll get that cinematic mode off and continue watching as the Royal Knights face up against the early Lancers. Early Knights? Early Knights. That's going to confuse me forever. I do apologize to you guys watching this and wondering what the hell this guy's on about. More knights now chasing away the knights of Viper. And I tell you what, this is an absolute cracker of a game. Fitzbro now up another 100 score. Let's do a quick stock take. We've got 44 villagers for Fitzbro, and down on the opponent's side, over for our big Viper. Viper sitting on 44 now. Keep in mind, he's up to 210 bounty at the moment. Hasn't reached that critical 250 just yet, but it does look like he is macroing towards that third age. We may potentially see a third age out of the Viper. Now, do note that when it actually comes... Did you guys just hear that? The sound just completely stopped. They were yelling like that fish emote off Twitch, and then they just stopped. They were very passionate for a short amount of time. Fitzbro now going to be walling up. Viper getting ready to age up. Let's see what he drops down with his landmark. Is he going to be going for the same landmark he's gone for before? It looks like he's going to be dropping down. I don't see it. Oh, here it is. The high trade house once again. So going to be going for the high trade house, dropping it right next to the hunting cabin. Once again, remember, with the high trade house, it acts as a hunting cabin. So by putting it next to it, you kind of cancel the effect out. But other than that, it also is going to be spawning a deer every 60 seconds. I would have loved to have seen Viper drop it down right here. Maybe right there or right here. Really try and maximize that bonus, because keep in mind, it does generate gold like a hunting cabin does when it's next to trees. Viper getting a nice little raid up here to the north as well. Not managing to connect with any villagers at this point, but going to be looking to get that early crucial third age advantage over Fitzbro. Viper now going to be putting Fitzbro between a hard place in the corner. Fitzbro going to be losing a significant amount of military right here. This is a difficult spot for him. We'll look to see if we can get a little bit more of a better angle right there. And more knights going down. We see a pike right there taking a stab through the chest and unfortunately losing his life. But Fitzbro going to get cleaned up completely. We see that Viper's got +1 melee attack, as well as it looks like he might have spear damage as well. So doing really, really nice. Let's get that camera all back and reset. We'll take a look at their damage. We've got 30 up against 20 on that. Oh, because one of them's got their joust out, the other one doesn't. But I'll take a look at Viper's upgrades. We'll see in spot. He does have +1 attack and +1 melee armor. So that does indeed explain why he's just managing to shred Fitzbro apart. Speaking of Fitzbro, let's go and take a look and see exactly what he's up to. Doing a little bit of the classic stack up 1,300 resources and call it a day. I do like that, Fitzbro. Glad to see that Age of Empires 3 players are representing over here. Fitzbro having a bit of a good time though. He's walled off a pretty safe segment of this southern part of the map. And he's got a lot of resources behind here. He's got a wood line that's safe. He's got a gold mine that's safe. He's also got this deer hunt that's safe. The only real access point is from the north, and that's where his base is, so he should be okay. We'll watch and see Fitzbro's reaction as to whether he looks to go up to the third age as well, now that he knows Viper is up in the third age. And I tell you what, this is shaping up to be a hell of a game. 17 minutes Fitzbro has lasted so far with the Viper, or against Viper. And now we see Fitzbro going for four archery ranges at once. Fitzbro, what have you got in mind right now for us? There's an awful lot of villagers on food, I will say that. Speaking of which, there's a lot of farms that have been dropped down right here, but now Fitzbro in a bit of trouble because these hardened spearmen have gotten behind the line. It was the only way in, but they managed to find it, unfortunately. But luckily, these are not they're not cavalry units, so Fitzbro's going to be able to make his way away from there. But now Fitzbro going to be getting into a bit of a difficult spot because he's attacking the high HP knight when he should be attacking the low HP one. You can already see the HP difference between these two units. Note that Viper has upgraded his, and so there's an extra 40, excuse me, I just had a little bit of a burp right there. That's the Red Bull from earlier. So Viper's already upgraded him, so his knight, so that's given them an extra 40 HP over the top of Fitzbro. And now Fitzbro continuing to stack up those resources to look for that age up, but he's in a bit of a difficult spot because Viper is looking to put that final nail in the coffin. We see that he's getting pretty far ahead when it comes to his military size. So now it's a difficult spot for Fitzbro, but Fitzbro finding a nice little raid up here to the north of the map. As well, a Bitey infantry getting in on the action, and both players looking to raid each other. Fitzbro doing a great job of really just keeping the Viper on his toes. Another villager over here potentially threatened over on the west side of Fitzbro's base, and now finally going to be chasing out a couple of these units, but Fitzbro's got to be careful. That town center is firing off arrows, but unfortunately it looks like it's hitting the knight rather than hitting the hardened spearmen, which is what it really wants to be hitting. Fitzbro going to be chasing those away, but it's going to be a bad day for him because those units undoubtedly going to be going down at the other side of Fitzbro's base. Viper is continuing to hit away at villagers as well as military units, finding anything and everything that he can. Fitzbro now beginning to train out archers as well, but at the same time we've got attacks absolutely everywhere. This is Age of Empires 4 on steroids right now. These two players are going at each other's throats, and it really feels like Fitzbro's come a long way. For anybody unfamiliar with Fitzbro, He did start his Age of Empires 3 career not much longer than a year ago. Compare that to Viper, who's been playing Age of Empires 2 since before he could walk, and I tell you what, it's impressive to see Fitzbro go this close with Viper. He's doing an incredible job. I'm very proud of my boy. We'll take a look over at his economy, see how he's doing. He's at 51 villagers. Compare that to the Viper, and he's sitting on 53, so that's not too bad at all. So Viper really pushing out, though, threatening, and going to be dropping down that second town center now. There's a couple of relics still out here on the Viper side of the map. Doesn't look to be picking those up just yet, but more villagers going to be going down for Fitzbro now, and a bit of a difficult spot for him because he is left with not a lot of line of sight rather, on the map. You can see he's just got a single Royal Knight up here to the north, a mill out here providing a bit of line of sight, walls down here to the south providing line of sight, and it definitely feels like a dark and dreary game for Fitzbro right now. Going to be trying his best to put a bit of damage onto these hardened spearmen, but not having any success with his knights. Going to be chasing them away with the archers. Undoubtedly, they will be heading into the corner of the map, doing their best to try and escape. Let's see exactly whether Fitz can turn the tide. It doesn't look like he wants to turn the tide, at least not today, as Viper manages to keep those units alive. So let's take a look over at Viper's base and see how his expansion is doing. He's got a couple of barracks in, 2 stables out the front, and of course, do we have any archery ranges yet? I don't even think we're at 20 minutes right now, and Viper hasn't made a single archer unit. He has literally made only horses, only cavalry units rather, and spears. That's the dream combination in Age of Empires 4, apparently. There you go. Who would have expected that? Farm's now going to be coming down for Viper. Now, keep in mind, Viper does have access to the berry bushes up here to the north. Also got access to, well, there's not too many deer left remaining on this one, but there's also more berries up here. One of the alternatives to dropping down this many farms is to actually just go sit on the berries. But keep in mind, if you've got a whole bunch of wood stacked up, then it doesn't really hurt you to drop them down either, does it? At least it keeps it safe that way. But interesting to note that we don't see any walls out yet on any of these choke points. It's one of the strategies that we have seen players do. There's actually quite a significant amount of choke points. I didn't realize that. There's one up here to the north, then you've got like the north and middle one, and then one in the middle south, and then finally the south choke point. So a total of 5 choke points. Is that a choke point? I don't think that's a choke point. At least it doesn't look like the choke point on the map. But speaking of the map, we've got ourselves a little bit of a battle right here as Fitzbro looks to defend a push here from Viper, and I don't know why Viper's taking this fight right here because it doesn't feel like the best fight. A couple of units going to be going down. I don't think Fitzbro's actually reached the 3rd age just yet. You can see in the bottom, or in the middle of the screen, he hasn't actually reached it just yet. Going to be looking to potentially raid him and distract him at the back while simultaneously hitting him at the front. So Fitzbro actually looking pretty decent. I'm liking the size of his military here. He's got that archer mass out. Going to be able to shoot down any potential pikes or spears that do come in. That villager going to actually be walling Viper in here. Does he manage to get it up in time? He's got a tiny little bit of seconds, but it looks like the villager is going to go down. Unfortunate timing there for Fitz. If he had just microed a little bit, he could have been able to save that villager and finish the wall, trap all of those units in, and, you know, they would have been dead. That would have been it. But now the big wall's coming up for Fitzbro. Fitz going for the wall of Fitzbro, as he likes to call it. We'll take a look over at his economy, see how he's doing, and he really is investing in this 2nd age. You can see how many resources he's stacking up here. Not training any additional archers at this point. Only 4 villagers on gold, but there's not too much gold left in that gold mine. Down towards the south, Viper just really cleaning up along these walls. Fitzbro is known for walling like absolute crazy. A gate going to be going down here as well. And Fitzbro looking actually pretty darn decent right now because you got to think about it from Viper's perspective. He has spent a lot of resources aging up. He has spent a lot of resources dropping down this town center, dropping down all of these extra farms, training these villagers. We take a look at the villager count. He's sitting on 66. Compare that to Fitzbro, who's sitting on 58. He's not too far off him. And Fitzbro spent all of those resources. He's invested all of those resources into his military. And of course, invested those resources into his bank, which is a classic Age of Empires 3 player move. That's something we love to do. We love to invest into our bank. For anybody unfamiliar, I am joking. It's this is not a good investment of resources. Don't do this at home. Anyway, Fitzbro's still looking pretty decent. I'm going to take a look over at Viper's base. I'm curious to see how much more he's going to be expanding. We actually do see a 3rd town center coming down for Viper right now. So Viper is really putting his economy into overdrive. I love this from Viper. A really smart move. The fact that he's been able to isolate this gold vein, this larger gold vein as well, keep that in mind. And at the same time, he's got this large stone outcropping that he can potentially take as well. He's really secured those resources. I'd love to see him pick up these relics because they are in his line of sight. At least I think they're in his line of sight. He has uncovered both of those relics, so hopefully see him pick those up soon. Those are going to give him a nice passive trickle. Keep in mind there's also sacred sites on this map that we haven't actually spoken about. So there's one down to the south, and there's 2 in the middle on Fitzbro's side. But Fitzbro's side, I think it's a little bit bigger than Viper's, so it's understandable. Viper now going to be dropping down this siege workshop, a forward siege workshop, a classic Age of Empires 2 move. and going to be looking to get through this large and in charge stone wall. We'll ride along with these knights, at least while they do ride, ever so slightly. And take a look. Don't you love that pitter-patter sound that they make? It just sounds so damn good. I love the sound of that pitter-patter. All right. Let's take a look and see exactly how that siege workshop's coming along. What he's going to be opting for. Viper stacking up quite a fair bit of gold at this point. We'll see if he opts towards that counterweight trebuchet. I do suspect that's what we're going to be seeing. Some springolds coming out. You should note that they do trivial damage versus buildings, but they're quite effective against other siege engines. So if your enemy's making mangonels, trebuchets, bombards, all that kind of stuff, that's when you want to be getting those bad boys out. You really want to be getting those out to counter those units. They're also really good against high priority units. Let's say your enemy is making a whole bunch of knights, which have got much higher HP. You can see 250 HP versus, like, say, a spear, which has got 110. They're going to do a lot more effectively against those units because they've got very high damage. So something to consider, that you can sort of mass those up, stack those up, if you will. You can see right here we've got 60 damage on these bad boys and 10 range. A lot of range, but Viper going to be looking really good. 82 villages he's up to right now. Going to be sieging down this wall in the south. We'll take a look over at the Fitzbro. He's on 67 villages, so not too far behind. Going to be dropping down that town center as well down here to the south, but he's in a bit of a difficult spot because he's still not up to the 3rd age yet. Not aging up either, because we do not see that little age up icon. And he's going to try and do his best to hold. We're at 25 minutes now. Fitzbro actually holding on for dear life, but now the score has just been made aware to me. I've just realized 3.9k versus 5k, so a little bit of a score difference right there, and I can tell you what, it looks like Viper is definitely starting to pull out quite a significant lead. The fact that Fitzbro's ahead, he's now walling up. It's never a good sign when you're putting up this many walls. It's never a good sign because it's a lot of resources to invest. I would have much preferred that go into a castle or something like that. Fitzbro now going to be doing his best, taking out a couple of archers on the back line here. Keep in mind, they are veteran archers. Those villagers going to be going down on the front, managing to get picked up, and Viper realizing there's probably a little bit too much right there. Even though Fitzbro's in the 2nd age, he's going to be able to chase him away as we enter into the battle now, and Fitzbro begins to chase away his enemy. We'll ride along. Actually, we're riding along with the archers. I wanted to ride along with these guys over here. No, these ones over here. Never mind. We'll follow along with these guys, and wow, they absolutely slice through those archers. We'll continue to move up towards the north as we watch these cavalry charge onto their enemy. Let's take a look and spot how they go, whether they manage to make it, and pikes or spears rather managing to connect now. And now we've got ourselves a bit of a battle. The trebuchet, counterweight trebuchet, you hear them towards the north, and so many royal knights out for Fitzbro right now. Archer's doing a great job of focusing down the spears as Fitzbro managing to actually come out on top at this point. This fight that is unfolding in the middle of the map is starting to look pretty unreal, and considering the score difference between these two players, you would think that they're a lot closer. Fitzbro needs to move up these units, get them a little bit closer into the action. You can just see how many more units he's got over his opponent. This Springald as well needs to be firing down at these Fitzbro army. But now Fitzbro really looking good. Got that tri-unit composition here. Has lost a lot of knights, and unfortunately they're attacking the siege. They really want to be focusing down the military at this point. A couple more spears moving forward here into this point, and Fitzbro's larger mass is really beginning to pull ahead here. I say that until I realize that now we've got some men-at-arms in amongst the action. Let's take a look and spot how much armor they've got. They've got 6 armor that are now going to get into it, and Fitzbro in a bit of a difficult spot. Spears coming out to try and push back some of those lancers, or knights rather, and the archers are trying their best to retreat. He needs to keep this mass alive. He's got 25 archers that are here. A lot of health still remains, or I say a lot of health, there's not a lot of health that remains on these lancer units. So a difficult spot for Fitzbro. Now that wall is going to begin getting shelled down. We'll take a look exactly how much HP it's got left on it. Less than 1,000 HP as Viper now continues to lay siege towards this wall. We see those big rocks coming in. Viper reaching the Imperial Age right now. We'll take a look into his base, see what landmark he's gone up with. It looks like he's gone up with a landmark over here. It looks like it's the Spasskaya Tower, which is really just a defensive landmark. There's nothing else to it, unfortunately. That is it. It's got a little bit more extra health. It's got a couple of emplacements on it, so it's got the cannon emplacement already on it. So definitely a difficult spot for Fitzbro at this point. We see the scores. Fitzbro starting to pull behind significantly, and at this point you can start to wonder for Fitzbro, how is he going to pull this back? I genuinely don't think this is a position that he can pull it back. He is down the 2nd age to the 4th age. He's missed a couple of his units, have gone a little bit too far. Fitzbro is on top of this wall. If Viper can get up on top of this wall, he's able to equal out the bonus that he gets. Now, keep in mind, by standing on top of this wall, Fitzbro is going to be taking significantly reduced damage compared to his opponent. But look at these. Look at the men-at-arms. It's taking 1 damage from all of these units, and they managed to get up the wall. Now, they're going to be taking reduced damage as well. I don't think the knights are able to actually get up the wall. It's only infantry, but now you can see just how hard these units are beginning to hit as they eat away 28 crossbows. And now Fitzbro going to be breaking out of his walls, it looks like. Don't break too hard, Fitzbro. That's what they say. And now more knights coming in. Fitzbro having a difficult time as he fights beneath the choke point, but underneath that, you see the archers just doing their best. There's one archer that's firing off into the wrong direction. I say that, but he's actually firing at a knight below him. A little bit of a weird arc going on right there. But now doing his best to fire down at the units below him, and Fitzbro having a bit of a tough time. Even though he's standing on top of this wall, even though he's getting the reduced damage, he's getting 66% damage reduction, the units are going to fall down, which means that Fitzbro is going to have a difficult time because now he doesn't get that bonus as much. Actually, he still gets it from standing on the stairs. But a whole bunch of his archers did die in that destruction of the wall, and as a consequence, it means he's going to be in a difficult spot. It looks like Viper is going to be able to claim this victory right here. Viper is doing an absolute insane job right now. He's ahead by a mile. 89 villagers for Fitzbro. We check in with the Viper. Viper sitting on 89 villagers as well, but unfortunately sitting up 2 ages higher than his Age of Empires 3 opponent. So for the big question, who is victorious, the Age of Empires 2 player or the Age of Empires 3 player? It is indeed the Age of Empires 2 player. Congratulations go over to the Viper. I'll leave my links in the description. Make sure you check out these other 2 content creators as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.